Going to bring some business news now on the programme. France 24's Cole Strangler is joining us here on set. Cole, over the weekend, G20 finance ministers endorsed this really landmark, isn't it, global tax deal. It would see the creation of a minimum corporate tax rate of 15%, but also it's going to change the way taxes are actually calculated. It's not going to take effect overnight, though, is it? What are the obstacles in the way?
Well, there's quite a few, Stuart. Let's start here in Europe. That's where U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is today in Brussels. She's pushing for the EU to abandon its own plan to introduce what's known here as a digital services tax, an attempt to tax large multinationals based on where their consumers are located as opposed to simply where the companies are registered. Now, if it sounds familiar, that's because that idea is also at the heart of this deal at the G20 and the OECD. So the U.S. expected to argue that any EU digital tax plan is made redundant by this bigger international accord. That's one issue. Another one is the fact that you have a few EU countries that have yet to back this global deal. That's Estonia, Hungary, and Ireland in particular. Janet Yellen expected to address both these issues today when she meets with the head of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, and then later with Eurozone finance ministers.
The obstacles aren't just in Europe, though. I mean, the deal's actually got to get through the US Congress as well.
Yeah, and the roadblocks there are actually even bigger, arguably. So there are two pillars to this deal, and each of them looks like it's going to have to be approved separately and perhaps on different timetables. In any case, that's what Janet Yellen has been suggesting. Now, Pillar 2 would actually appear to be the easier one to get through Congress. This is the one that's covering the new minimum rate. President Biden has proposed roughly doubling the U.S. tax rate on overseas earnings to 21%, well above the 15% floor that's part of the global deal. Now, Congress may be able to approve this part of the deal through a simple majority, meaning no Republican support would be needed. But Pillar 1, as you can see here, would actually be a lot trickier. This is the one that would overhaul the way taxes are calculated, the part of the deal that Europe has really been leading the charge on. This one would likely require a tax treaty, and that's something that's going to require perhaps a 2/3 majority in Congress. So in other words, at least some buy-in from Republicans. Janet Yellen has said that this part of the deal, Pillar 1, again, may not be ready before spring 2022. So at the end of the day here, Stuart, still a ways away to actually seeing this major deal come into effect. Still a lot more needs to be negotiated and a lot more details need to be sorted out.
Big developments in the business world. Cole, thanks very much. Cole Strangler from our business desk.